China is currently the second largest economy in the world, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of over $14 trillion in 2021. Over the past few decades, China has experienced unprecedented economic growth, driven by its export-led model and infrastructure investments. However, there have been concerns about the sustainability of China's economic growth, particularly in light of its rising debt levels and the ongoing trade war with the United States. The question of what would happen if China's economy were to collapse is a complex one that requires careful consideration of the various factors that contribute to the country's economic stability. In this video, we will explore the potential consequences of a collapse in the Chinese economy, including its impact on the global economy, politics, and society. Factors contributing to China's economic stability. Before we can examine the potential consequences of a collapse in the Chinese economy, it is important to understand the factors that contribute to its stability. There are several key factors that have enabled China to maintain its economic growth over the past few decades. First and foremost, China has a large population, which provides a vast pool of labor that can be used to drive economic growth. Additionally, the Chinese government has invested heavily in infrastructure, which has helped to facilitate economic growth and development. China's export-led model has also been a significant factor in its economic success. By producing goods that are in high demand in other countries, China has been able to generate significant revenues and create jobs. Finally, the Chinese government has implemented policies designed to promote economic growth, such as tax breaks for businesses and subsidies for strategic industries. Consequences of a collapse in the Chinese economy. If the Chinese economy were to collapse, the consequences would be far-reaching and could have significant impacts on the global economy, politics, and society. Some of the potential consequences of a collapse in the Chinese economy are as follows. Global economic recession. China is a major player in the global economy, and a collapse in its economy would likely trigger a global economic recession. China is the largest trading partner for many countries, and a significant decrease in Chinese demand for goods and services would lead to a decrease in global trade and a slowdown in economic activity. In addition, many countries are heavily invested in China, and a collapse in its economy could lead to significant losses for investors and businesses. This could trigger a domino effect, with businesses and banks failing and economies around the world suffering. Geopolitical instability. China is a major political and economic power, and a collapse in its economy could lead to geopolitical instability. China has strong ties with many countries around the world, and a significant decrease in its economic power could lead to a shift in global power dynamics. Additionally, a collapse in the Chinese economy could lead to social unrest within China, as citizens who have come to rely on the government for economic stability are suddenly left without jobs or income. This could lead to protests and even regime change, which would have significant implications for regional and global politics. Environmental consequences. China's economic growth has come at a significant cost to the environment. The country is the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases, and a collapse in its economy could lead to a decrease in environmental regulations and an increase in pollution. Additionally, a decrease in economic activity in China could lead to a decrease in demand for natural resources, such as oil and gas. This could lead to a decrease in prices for these resources, which would have significant implications for countries that rely on them for revenue. Social consequences. A collapse in the Chinese economy would have significant social consequences, both within China and around the world. Within China, a decrease in economic activity could lead to a significant increase in poverty and unemployment. Outside of China, a collapse in the Chinese economy could lead to a decrease in demand for goods and services, which would have significant implications for businesses and workers in other countries that rely on Chinese demand. In addition, a collapse in the Chinese economy could lead to a decrease in foreign aid and investment, particularly in developing countries that rely on China for economic support. This could lead to an increase in poverty and instability in these countries, further exacerbating global economic and political issues. Possible scenarios of a collapse in the Chinese economy. There are several possible scenarios that could lead to a collapse in the Chinese economy, including a sudden financial crisis, a decrease in demand for Chinese goods and services, or a significant decrease in foreign investment. One potential scenario is a sudden financial crisis, similar to the 2008 global financial crisis. China's rising debt levels and exposure to the global financial system could make it vulnerable to a sudden shock, such as a sudden increase in interest rates or a significant decrease in foreign investment. Another potential scenario is a decrease in demand for Chinese goods and services, particularly as other countries seek to reduce their reliance on China as a trading partner. This could be driven by political factors, such as the ongoing trade war between China and the United States, or by economic factors, such as a decrease in global demand for goods and services. Finally, a significant decrease in foreign investment could lead to a collapse in the Chinese economy. China has relied heavily on foreign investment to drive economic growth, particularly in the form of loans from foreign banks and investment from foreign businesses. If this investment were to suddenly decrease, China would be left without the resources needed to maintain economic stability. Conclusion. The question of what would happen if China's economy were to collapse is a complex one that requires careful consideration of the various factors that contribute to the country's economic stability. While the exact consequences of a collapse in the Chinese economy are difficult to predict, it is clear that such an event would have far-reaching implications for the global economy, politics, and society. Given the potential consequences of a collapse in the Chinese economy, it is important for policymakers and business leaders to take steps to mitigate the risks associated with such an event. This could include diversifying trade relationships, reducing reliance on Chinese investment, and implementing policies designed to promote economic stability. Ultimately, the stability of the Chinese economy is closely tied to the stability of the global economy, and a collapse in the Chinese economy would likely have significant implications for economic and political stability around the world. As such, it is important for all stakeholders to carefully consider the potential risks and take steps to mitigate them, in order to ensure a stable and prosperous future for all.